Here we go. Here we go. Boom. And I believe with that, we are now live. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing fine on this. What day is it today? It's a Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's a Wednesday. I hope you're all doing okay. As you can see, ooh, for some reason it's playing me back. I didn't want that. It's on the. I see. I forgot to mute this. There we go. Right, hello everyone. Sorry for the brief feedback there. Welcome to the stream on this Wednesday afternoon. As you can see, I'm dressed for a very special occasion because I've just listened to the first Christopher Eccleston Ninth Doctor audio. I got to say it's called Sphere of Freedom. I haven't listened to the rest of them. I've only listened to the first one, but I wanted to give you my thoughts. So basically, yeah, that's the for anyone who was confused by the title of this, the Lost Doctor is the Ninth Doctor, because obviously we only have one series with him. So I thought, how do you describe the Ninth Doctor? I'll describe him as the Lost One. But we've also got news in terms of Series 13 filming, as well as a new rumour coming from Willie Who, and some general news that I thought would be interesting to talk about as well. So strap yourselves in, folks. It's gonna be a bumper stream, but I hope you enjoy it all the same. Obviously, I'm naturally dressed for the occasion, you know, as Eric Roberts says, I always dress for the occasion. So let's just see who's in the chat. We've got Adzinko, Footy with South Tom, Minecraft 1500 CB, Creative Builder, Hoovian 10, Faulty TARDIS. How are you doing, Faulty TARDIS? Nathan Mann, Evan Marshall, Jacob Hind, Evan Marshall, I think I said, and I think that's everyone thus far. So welcome to the stream. And I guess, yeah, there's already 30 of you watching, so there's no point delaying and dithering, so we might as well just get straight into it. Now I've got to do my signature shrinky downy thing. That's the wrong one. That's a good start. Right. Shrink that down. Bring that up. Spin that around. Wait, where is it gone? Shoot. I've gone off the screen. That's not a great start, must be said. I see now. I see now what's going on here. We've had a little bit of a technical difficulty. There we go. I'm going to shrink down a bit more. That should do it, so we can still see the chat in the corner there. Thank you to 33 of you already watching. If you haven't already, please give the stream a like. We've got lots of topics to talk about, and I'm sure you'll enjoy at least one of them. So, with that said, let's get into the news. So, this one I found interesting. BBC Studios goes back to drawing board in hunt for new CEO. A request of new BBC chairman. So, basically, this is an exclusive to Deadline. BBC Studios has gone back out, and obviously it's got Doctor Who on the picture, has gone back out to market in its search for a new chief executive at the request of new BBC chairman Richard Sharp, Deadline can reveal. BBC Studios' hunt for Tim Davies' successor is now in its 10th month after the £1.4 billion, £2 billion production, distribution and broadcasting empire has been turned down by a string of high-profile executives. Now, the reason I found this interesting is that I heard a lot of people talking about Tim Davie in relation to Doctor Who when he was announced to be the new controller of BBC One or whatever he is. But he never really did anything after that, so I find it very interesting that they've been looking for a successor to him for as long as they have. Acting CEO Tom Fussell was recently seen as the frontrunner, with a number of sources expecting him to be handed the job permanently. But Sharp asked BBC Studios to go back to the drawing board after his arrival in February per two sources. BBC Studios is said to be casting its recruitment net globally, and there is also chatter that former Goldman Sachs banker Sharp may have... Oh, why is it just flicked me over there? Wait, where have I gone? For some reason it moved me, which I wasn't expecting, and the website has a mind of its own. Sharp may have some candidates in mind outside of the television industry. I think it's good that they're getting fresh blood in, certainly. The US is said to be a particular area of focus for BBC Studios, which is being ambitious with its whitelist. One person familiar with the recruitment process targets has included Gina Balliam, FX Entertainment's president of original programming, and Paul Lee, the former ABC and BBC executive now running Studio Weep? WIP? Peter Rice's Disney chairman of General Entertainment has also been linked to the role. Salary is likely to be a big sticking point for these executives. However, Davey earns £100,000 in his final year as BBC Studios CEO. Damn, that's a lot of money. And his successor may not receive as much. As the BBC drives down executive pay, BBC insiders acknowledge that this is unable to match top market rates, but the hope is always that the corporation's unique purpose is attractive. So yeah, that's basically that. I won't bore you with the rest of the details, but yeah, new CEO of BBC Studios, which I think is interesting, and obviously might result in changes in Doctor Who, might not, who knows. But let's get into the next news article. So there were mentions of Weeping Angels and Daleks in Barry. This was on the 17th, so 2 days ago. I basically got all of the little things that have been spoken about recently. Thank you to Doctor Who Production News, by the way, the Twitter account. It's a godsend for these things. It makes me aware of like all the latest Doctor Who stuff that I can bring to you guys in a timely fashion, or relatively timely fashion at least. We also got the release of the Season 24 collection trailer. Now, I can't play it here for copyright reasons, but what I will do is pause it on a certain frame because there's something quite cool about it. For those of you in the know, at least, I'll obviously skip right the way through to where I want it, which is about... Please don't copyright me, BBC. Please. Here. Right. So, as you can see here, we've got a new, obviously, Sixth Doctor regeneration effect, for those of you who remember. For Time in the Rani, they couldn't get the Sixth Doctor back. Colin Baker refused to come back after his poor treatment, which is fair enough, to be fair. But now, through the magic of editing, I don't know who did this, but power to them. It looks like one of the fan edits I've seen, so it could be the same person, I don't know. But well done to whoever's done this. This is absolutely top work from the people involved here. I really do like how much effort they put into restoring the classic Blu-rays. I'm probably going to get the Season 24 one, because I'm of the opinion that Season 24, it's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing ever, I don't think. There was apparently a press junket rehearsal for Doctor Who Time Fracture in London on, I think this was the 17th as well, yeah. Several journalists and some Doctor Who publicity people have been posted photos outside the venue. I wonder if this was a dress rehearsal for the press. And someone said it was a dress rehearsal today, according to their Instagram story. And as you can see there, it has the unit insignia on the front of the door. So very interesting stuff. I wonder who they got, Doctor Who-wise. Because I remember Ace Creeper was invited to, what was it, the Dalek Escape thing? He was invited to that. So I wonder if they got anyone like that for this. That'd be interesting. There was also, and this is today, some filming in Cardiff Bay. So I think there are two things filming. I think one of them might be Doctor Who and one of them might be something else. But the other bit of news as well is that Doctor Who Time Fracture will include Zagit Zagu, the bar where the 10th Doctor says his farewell to Jack in the end of time. Pictures taken from before John Barrowman was removed, for reasons I won't get into on this stream because I want to keep it quite light. But be interesting to see how that factors into the story of Time Fracture. I'm told that there are some signs at a university today. Signs are up. I assume that means GHP signs, but I am so far unable to verify. And I think they verify later on. To avoid any confusion, GHP signs are for Doctor Who filming, DR signs are for Darkness Rising, WHT signs are for We Hunt Together 2, EHF signs are for Alex Rider filming. I do find it weird, right, that, you know, Dark Rising, the insignia they use for it, the two letters they use are DR for Dark Rising, makes sense. For We Hunt Together, it's WHT, makes sense. So then why is Doctor Who's GHP and why is Alex Rider's EHF? So, yeah, I don't really know why that is. It seems weird. GHP signs at Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. The filming in Cardiff Bay has UMF signs. I either don't know or can't remember what production those are, but it's not for Doctor Who. So the ones in Cardiff Bay weren't for Doctor Who, which is interesting, I suppose. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on filming-wise. Now I remember the UMF signs are for Urban Media Films, which films War of the Worlds. I thought they completed their filming for War of the Worlds 2. I could be wrong. So it's either pickups or filming for War of the Worlds 3. That is a bit of a tongue twister there. Or some other Urban Media Films production. Hashtag, I don't know what crew lock is. But if anyone knows, let me know. Yeah, so it's not the Royal Welsh College wasn't for Doctor Who, but it was for, in fact, Darkness Rising, which was the other thing that it was. So at least we could have some Daleks and Weeping Angels in Barry. I'd have thought they'd have used all the Weeping Angels by now, but who knows? Like, maybe they could be doing a Pandorica style thing where multiple villains come together in one episode. That could definitely happen. Especially as by like a lot of the rumors accounts, this is meant to be like Jodie's big final like stand, so it makes sense to have multiple of the villains come together. And finally, from our good friend William Who, we've got the final batch of Series 13 rumors. Now, have been messaged more of these, but the guy told me to keep them secret because he doesn't want to give too much attention to them, so I won't do that. But obviously these ones are already out in public eye anyway, so I thought I'd cover these ones. So more Series 13 rumors from the same person as yesterday. So yeah, this is an account that was only set up yesterday and is not verified, but they sent me this tonight. Like I said, isn't confirmed and it's all speculation, so take it as a grain of salt. The regeneration scene will happen on the Dalek ship. Jodie is badly injured. In this scene, she would start to regenerate, and she will jump off the ship as it's blowing up. No TARDIS to be seen as she is falling. In mid-air, she regenerates and is found at random location, laying down, unconscious on the ground. It's Chibnall's attempt at a regeneration scene. Yes, another Dalek special. I think we are all predicting that at this point. And with Jodie's Doctor falling, could mean that it's a sequel to When He Fell to Earth. Which, I mean, is that all it takes to be a sequel to When He Fell to Earth? Just they both fall in it. Because by that logic, I guess, End of Time Part 2 is a sequel to Legopolis, but you know. Also, Donna Noble and River episodes are just filler and not important to the Chibnall story Chibnall's telling. Pretty much fan service. Again, I've said before, I think I said this in the last video I did on these particular rumours. I don't like the idea of either of these characters coming back particularly. Not only because I think the show needs to carve its own path beyond fan service, but also I feel as though, in both cases, their stories are kind of done, and there isn't much more to explore there. In River's case, you know, we know how she dies, we know how her life begins in Let's Kill Hitler, we know how it ends in Silence of the Library, Forest of the Dead. There's not much more, in my opinion, to explore there. As for Donna Noble, her memory gets wiped at the end of her final appearance. It's very sad, it's the perfect ending. So I don't see the need, personally, to add to that, to expand upon that. I feel like it was perfect as it is. Now, the rumour did state that it was going to be taking place around the time of Runaway Bride. Again, I just don't see the point. Because as well, if it's taking around the place of Runaway Bride, it would be taking a place around the time that before a lot of people found Donna Noble's character a good character. I remember a lot of people being annoyed by Donna in The Runaway Bride, if memory serves. Obviously, I wasn't there, but like, from, you know, second-hand accounts and stuff. Also, my friend told me while I was sleeping, told me about the departure of Yaz. See, this is the thing as well. It's the fact that he just says, oh yeah, my friend told me this. It does give a bit of my uncle's brother's father, you know, sort of vibe to it. So I'm not, obviously the guy seems lovely, I'm not trying to discredit the guy, but at the same time, it does have like all the stereotypical trappings of a rumour, and trust me, I've covered a lot of them at this point. Oh yeah, did I tell you that Barrowman was supposed to be in the episode where Yasmin departs? Maybe that could lead to a new Torchwood series on BBC Three next year. Who knows, but from what I'm hearing, it's scrapped due to recent events, which makes sense. I've heard like a couple of things saying that Cat and Jack was meant to be in Series 13, and if that was the case, then yeah, that would make sense, I suppose. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of what we've covered so far. I hope you guys are all enjoying the stream so far. I'm trying to see what everyone's saying in the live chat. Awesome editing. I don't know whether you're on about me. I literally just lined up all of these URLs and just sort of clicked on them. Shout out to Neil Gaiman for calling a true Doctor Who fan. Oh yes, no. Yeah, no, I was going to say about this as well. Good point. You reminded me. Randon Backer, thank you for that. I was going to mention this on stream and I forgot about it. So thank you for that. Let me get to it. So I don't know whether you guys saw this. If you're on Twitter as much as me, you probably will have. But basically, this lovely kid. I mean, just look at that. He dressed up as a Dalek to match the family Dalek, I suppose, and it's adorable. It's absolutely adorable. And he's got a little Dalek costume with the toilet brush and the egoist. It's great. But unfortunately, there was some pillock who decided to say, "Stop posting photos of that kid in his crap Dalek costume. He's not even holding the energy weapon in the right hand." Now, I don't say things like this often, and it may sound a bit hypocritical coming from me, but if you type stuff like this to someone who's 18 months old, because the kid's like 18 months, not even like 2, then just go have sex, or just go do something. Like, this is just ridiculous. Why? You're embarrassing proper Doctor Who fans. You're embarrassing Doctor Who fans. You're the one embarrassing them. Get off Twitter and leave the fandom to the true fans who care about the show. I've said in a tweet, I quote tweeted this saying the following, "This is just sad. It truly shows how ridiculous the idea of being a true fan is. What makes your definition of being a fan any more valid than anyone else's? It's behaviour like this that stops people from wanting to become fans. Keep exterminating, little dude, and you look awesome." It's true. Like, that mentality of, I'm a true fan, like, that's the sort of stuff that stops people wanting to engage in fandoms and in stuff like this. This is the very sort of gatekeepy type behaviour that prevents people getting involved. Exactly. The kid's costume's great, and he's holding the energy weapon in the wrong hand. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Daleks have had them in the other hand as well, because they've had different contraptions and stuff. So I mean, that's not even like 100% right. I hate the true fan mentality, the true fan narrative. I can't stand that idea. Quite frankly, I think it only serves to enhance gatekeeping, which is something I've never been in favour of and never will, because I just think, why does it matter? I just don't. I think, like, when people say, "Oh, I'm a real fan," it's like, but what does real fan actually mean? Does it mean you've watched every story ever? Does it mean you've had to have watched certain stories and not other ones? I think it's a ridiculous prerequisite that you have to have done certain things in order to be considered a true fan. Because, like, at that point, where do you draw the line? Are the only true fans the ones that started watching on the 23rd of November 1963 and have carried on watching till today? Like, do you get what I mean? Where does that line stop? Like, do we as a fan base go, yeah, this is what a true fan is? I just think the whole thing's ridiculous, personally. And I think the kid looks awesome. So that's my thought on that. Yeah, like, being a true fan means you care. And I agree, but, like, you can care without, doing this or doing that. You know what I mean? Like, it means your childhood was defined by it. Yeah, but I think, though, even, like, people who find Doctor Who later in life, they're still fans as well. Like, I just don't think, there needs to be any prerequisite. If you're passionate and you enjoy it, then by all means, of course, you're a fan. I don't get this whole idea that you're not a fan unless you do this. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me. I've been a Doctor Who fan for years, and I'm only now starting to watch Classic, and it hardly even has an impact on the New Who plot anyway. Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, when people say, "Oh, you have to have watched New Who to watch," you have to watch Classic Who, sorry, to watch New Who. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to at all. You watch what you like to watch. Only true Doctor Who fans have watched all the episodes of K9. True. I mean, yeah, he could do the Australian series or K9 and Company. There's another one as well, isn't there? I can't remember what it's called now. But said true fan I met was an MD as well. Yeah, like, that's the thing. That is a certain line of defense that certain people who are a bit more questionable will use, and I just think it's ridiculous. It's so dumb. Like, be a fan, just enjoy it, you know what I mean? But let's get into the next topic of discussion, and our main topic of discussion today. So I listened to the first of the Ninth Doctor audios. I haven't listened to all of them. If you guys enjoy this stream, I may cover the rest in an upcoming stream if you guys would like that. But as of right now, I'm just talking about the first episode, which is Fear of Freedom. Now, to give you a basic plot rundown without any spoilers, basically there are these time eddies that are displacing different things in time, and the Doctor's trying to unravel this mystery, all while recalling the events to an old woman. That is basically the basic plot synopsis I can give without going into too much spoilers. As you can see there's a Roman on the cover as well as a robot, so it's different points in history being dispersed, and there's also London in the 1950s as well, so all these times are sort of converging. And to give you my basic thoughts, and as well, I did realise that Crispy Pro actually released his video on the Eccleston audios today, and I promise that was a sheer coincidence. I promise that was a sheer coincidence. I wasn't planning on them being on the same day. It was just a case of I wanted to talk about these, and it just so happened to line up on the same day. So yeah. Does anybody know if ordering the complete set on the pre-order bundle means you only get them when they've all been released? I don't know actually. If someone, the entire box set is a 3-part story. Yeah. So what I'm saying is I've listened to the first part. If anyone was confused by that, can't believe they brought back time eddies. Were they Invasion of the Dinosaurs? I can't remember, but yeah, they're very cleverly used here. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it to minimal spoilers for any of you who haven't listened to them. So it's basically that's basically the basic plot. And to be fair, you can gather quite a lot from just the the cover. You can gather that it's going to be different points in time by the Roman and stuff. I will say, okay, so there's a few things I wanted to discuss here. I think at first Eccleston to me does sound a bit off. I'll say that. And that's not me going after him, but obviously it's been, 15 years since he played the role. Naturally, over that course of time, your voice is going to change. That's completely understandable. But I will say, once you get used to it, it's really not that jarring at all. When I first watched the trailer for this, I was a bit like, but actually, he really does well, I find. And I've really missed... I've said this before, I think I actually mentioned it when Jack Wolf was streaming and we were talking about, fan doctors. I've really missed that sort of dry wit and sarcasm that the Doctor has. Because with Jodie, you get sarcasm, but it feels a bit more patronising than it does clever or witty or quick responses. Whereas with, doctors like Eccleston, for example, he's very dry and very sarcastic, but it doesn't come across as a means to patronise anyone. More so, it's either done in good humour or done as a sign of affection, or it's a means to insult the enemy, essentially, which makes sense. So I've really missed that part of the Doctor, and having that in this was a really nice thing to see. I will say, obviously, this is meant to be pre-Rose, so I will say as well, they don't really do much to mess with the timeline events of things, which is good. One thing I do find weird is in Rose, it's kind of established that this is the first time he's seeing his face, and the first time he's really figuring himself out. So having all these adventures prior to that is a bit weird to me, I will say, because it's like, so you're telling me you've been on all these adventures and not one point was there ever a mirror or a window where you could see your face? I do find that strange. I know in a novel, I believe, they explain it as in the TARDIS he broke all the mirrors, but that doesn't explain every other mirror in every other part of existence that the Doctor's going to. I know that's a very nitpicky thing, but I do find it weird that he's just never looked at his face prior to this. I will say I like the Doctor's handling of things. He's very, despite just coming out of the Time War, he maintains that level of empathy that you'd expect to see from the character, especially when juxtaposed with some of the army members and military members, as well as the Romans in the story. So I think that's really well. There's a great twist at the end. Well, I mean, I won't say what the twist is, but there's keep an eye out for a twist, because it's well seeded and has a good payoff. But I haven't listened to the rest of them, so I can't really give you too much. So yeah, this is set pre-Rose. This is set before the events of Rose. So yeah, it's that if that helps. There's a gap where he goes after Rose, says no to travelling. Most adventures could take place in a 5-second gap. I really don't care if they ignore that one line so we can get some more line. Yeah, that is true. That is fair enough. Like, I think it is well worth it to just have Christopher Eccleston back in the role. And he, as I said in the earlier, he does it so terrifically. Like, it is almost like once you get used to it, it's like he never really left. And I do think, you know, a behind-the-scenes clip came out, and I'll see if I can play Trilby's clip, because he posted it, because I haven't listened to the behind-the-scenes yet, but I listened to an excerpt that Trilby posted, and it actually is quite emotional. I'll see if I can play it without Big Finish copyrighting me to high heaven. It's only like a minute long, if that, so I should be okay, but and it's only audio as well. And the general rule I find with copyright, and, you know, any YouTubers in the audience can tell me if I'm wrong, but the general thing I find with copyright is, if it's audio, it's not as bad, like, unless it's like a very recognizable song, or like a very recognizable Doctor Who song. If it's just audio, it's not as bad as if it's visuals as well. Like, if you just have a brief audio clip, it's not as bad as, you know, having a full-on scene from a film or something. But yeah, I'll just play this. Oop, it's very loud. I'll see if my desktop audio is on. It's not, so that's not a good start. But I'm just gonna listen to this, and yeah, this actually is quite emotional. It's only this 43-second clip, but it just really gave me an insight into just how hard it must have been for Christopher Eccleston at the time.
I sat and watched the first episode of Doctor Who with my dad, and he really,
sorry if it's a bit loud.
His dementia, he was glancing at me, and he was glancing at the screen. He'd forgotten who I was. He'd forgotten that I was an actor.
It's just,
and I realised actually that it was slightly distressing him, so we turned it off and did something else, because it was dissonant, you know. It was confusing for him. And I mean, the sad thing was that my dad was a much bigger sci-fi fan than I was, so he didn't manage to see his lad play the Doctor. He saw it, but he couldn't really compute it. That's why Father's Day was such an important episode for me. I always thought that was a beautiful episode.
You can even hear him get a bit emotional towards the end there. Like, something I hate in retrospect that happened after the years that Eccleston left was, I hate how much in retrospect he was vilified. And again, not to go into too much depth on it, but when you look at just what was going on behind the scenes of Series 1 that we now know, it just, I hate the fact that he was portrayed as the villain in that scenario. Whereas when you listen to stuff like that, it's very clear and very obvious he was going through a lot at the time. And I really think that, I really feel guilty for even blaming him for stuff, because I think at points we all blamed him for stuff. We always used to get annoyed that he wouldn't come back for things like the 50th and that. But I think things like this, you know, they make it a lot more clear to me, like, just how much he was going through at the time, and how what he was going through made him have kind of that, not a negative relationship with Doctor Who as such, but certainly it would be difficult to come back to after stuff like that. You know, and he said his dad was a sci-fi fan and he couldn't watch him play the Doctor. That's horrible to think about. And I just do kind of hate how in years following, I don't know, well, I wouldn't name any names, but John Barrowman was one of them to sort of vilify him and say, oh, he was terrible to work with, I much prefer Tennant. And it's like, I just don't think the way he was treated was fair. And I am glad that he's getting the opportunity to do it again. I've always appreciated with Eccleston just how honest he is as a person. I think, you know, even if he says stuff, and it's a bit, you know, it's a bit heavy-handed or whatever, at least you know that that's him. At least you know that's how he feels, it's his thoughts, and I think I really appreciate that authenticity, if you know what I mean. EA Games copyrighted audio when I posted gameplay from The Simpsons tapped out. Okay, well maybe I'm screwed, but support the stream regardless. Obviously, super chats are open. I would never force you guys to do any of that, but if you want to, it's there. I'm thinking of starting channel memberships, but I don't know how many you'd be interested. So let me know. Again, Russell T Davis has stated that Nine seeming to be working his face out in Rose because he hadn't seen himself before. Yeah, that's the one thing that I find a bit weird about these audios, but like I'm willing to overlook it. Apparently Eccleston said on set he was glad he didn't have to watch this, that word. I'm guessing that means the series. And I mean, I suppose if you're in that high stress environment, and because here's the thing, people have said, people like Julie Gardner and Russell T Davis have said that they had no idea about what was going on, particularly with Noel Clarke on the set of Series 1. And I'm like, but you had to have known something, right? Like, you're the showrunner. Surely you would have known something about this. I don't buy the argument that they just completely had no idea, So basically, Jamface, the missing Doctor is 9 because we got him back in audios. I knew that was going to confuse some people, but I didn't really know how else to describe the 9th Doctor without just saying the 9th Doctor. He also says something else about the scene with the Dalek in the cage. I can't watch it in the same way ever again. If you post that Atomize, I'll have a look at that on stream. If you can maybe clip that out, because I haven't listened to the full behind the scenes track yet, because I haven't even listened to all the other ones yet. I've only listened to the first one. I will say as well, the person, obviously without giving any spoilers, who acts as his pseudo companion in this episode. Sorry if you heard the door. It was just my mum's gone to get my brother from school, so apologies for that. But the companion who he's with in this story, I quite like. She's got quite a sad life, and she doesn't even know it, because what I like about certain companions is that they do have a really sort of tragic life, but they don't even know it, because that's just how life is. And I quite like that about this character, obviously, without giving much away. So yeah, that's a really cool thing to me. I quite like that. Hello, Clackety Geek. I like, how much this Doctor is willing to stand up to injustice. Obviously, that's the case with every Doctor, but, like, I just think that he's the only one who sees how messed up the society in which the story takes place is, because, obviously, he's an outsider to it, so he understands, wait, this is kind of messed up. So I like that about him. He's the only one who sort of realizes, yeah, this is not how things are supposed to work. Harry's secret sibling confirmed. I don't know whether that's secret. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen him in, like, videos before. Or at least in, like, because I remember I did a quiz thing once, and he came in midway through. It was very funny. In Rose, the Doctor does look in a mirror and make a comment about his ears and how he looks. Yeah. In Waters of Mars, why does the Dalek leave Adelaide knowing she will be an important figure in history? When their plan was to kill all life, surely that Dalek knew that their plan wouldn't work, right? I mean, you make a good point. I think maybe it was just having an off day. I don't know. I was going to go meet Chris at AwesomeCon right when Corona started. Can I say Corona? I've said it now. Right when that started and it got cancelled. Yeah, I was planning on going to Telford Comic Con. I refuse to call it Wales Comic Con because it's not in Wales, but that's a whole side tangent for another day. But I was planning on going to that and meeting Matt Smith because he's my personal favourite. You wouldn't know it by this get-up, but yeah, he is my favourite. And while Telford Comic Con is still going ahead, he's not going to be there, which was kind of one of my reasons to want to go there. There's still other people I'd like to meet, so I might still go. But I just started watching Doctor Who 3 weeks ago, and now I'm on Series 4. Well, congrats to you. What's it like? How have you found it so far? Because I've always wanted to know from an outsider what Doctor Who's like. I'm back. What have I missed? Basically, there's a new controller of BBC. We've had some Weeping Angels and Dalek spotted in Barry. The Season 24 collection's been released. There's been a Time Fracture dress rehearsal. There's been some potential filming, but it turned out to be Darkness Rising, and there was a rumor about the Regeneration taking place on a Dalek ship. That's and River and Donna coming back and that sort of thing. And right now we've just been talking about the first of the Doctor Who Ninth Doctor audios, Spear of Freedom, the first part of the 3-part story, Ravages. As I said, I may cover the other parts if you guys enjoy this stream. I won't be in the Ninth Doctor Get Up again, because obviously I thought I'd just do that as a means to celebrate this Doctor coming back, because I wanted to do something to mark the occasion, and I thought, well, I might as well wear his get-up, really. But yeah, I really like the banter that this Doctor has with people in the story. I will say, there are certain lines that do feel slightly off, and they feel a bit more Tennant-y, but I know that Eccleston said that if he had the chance, he'd play Doctor Who slightly differently, so I do think part of that does come through here, but it still definitely does feel like the Ninth Doctor. It's just slightly different, but it still definitely feels like him. There are certain lines where it literally does feel like Series 1 continued, essentially. The Tiles Children didn't say that the Doctor, or the Tiles Child, for that matter, had infinite regenerations. No, true, we don't know that. I think a lot of people just assume that because, you know, we see the Doctor regenerate multiple times, and I think we just assume that it's... Because the thing is, how, like, if it was limited, how would you limit a naturally occurring, like, source? I mean, maybe you could, but it's... yeah, Waters of Mars doesn't make much sense if you compare it to Classic Who, when they tell you the date when Earth went into space and made contact with aliens. Yeah, but, like, as Faulty TARDIS says there, like, the times and dates of things in Doctor Who and the consistencies of Doctor Who are changed pretty much on a constant basis. If you want to see all the consistencies in Doctor Who, inconsistencies, I should say, in Doctor Who, I highly suggest Davis's Broke Canon. He basically goes into all of the little inconsistencies in Doctor Who. Perform the Eccleston summoning ritual, gather the Series 1 DVDs, books, action figures and comics into Heaton Park in Manchester, Salford, and trash the place with them until he comes. Maybe I will. No, I won't do that. Although, funny you should mention Heaton Park, because I can't give much away, but something big's happening soon, that I've sort of teased, but I won't say any more than that, but get excited, there's some interesting stuff going. Back to the Ninth Doctor audio, sorry about that. Are you guys alright if I get into a bit more spoiler territory now, and stuff like that, or are you guys still happy for me to just try and stay as non-spoilery as possible? Like, because I'm not sure. Thing is, well, it's a hard line to draw with how much, like, you consider a spoiler and how much you don't consider a spoiler, because everyone's definition of what's a spoiler, I think, is different. I think Brendan's mind being wiped is the Timeless Child being rewritten, reloomed, who we now know as the Doctor. So yeah, will there be shit everywhere? Perhaps, and I'll dip if you want to chat spoilers. It's okay, I just wanted to get a gauge of how many people have listened to the first part. So yeah, no spoilers. Okay. All I'll say then, in closing, in regards to this, is that it's pretty good. And that's, you know, I've heard a lot of people say that it plays it relatively safe. But to me, like, I don't listen to that. Okay, well, I'll keep it away from spoilers then. I haven't listened to that many audios, so I'm not going to... I can't really say whether it's mild. I can tell you my relationship with the Ninth Doctor and with Big Finish. So with the Ninth Doctor, obviously when I was getting into Doctor Who, let me see if I can get up. I got into it with the episode The Next Doctor with David Morrissey, which is admittedly a weird place to start, but I went back and watched stuff. And I basically, you know, asked for Doctor Who DVDs wherever I could get them. And one of the ones I got was Rose and the End of the World. I'll see if I can grab it. Rose and the End of the World. DVD. So I remember getting... Let me get an image of it on screen. I remember getting this DVD. It was... I don't think it was the one with the Unquiet Dead in it, though. It was this one. It was this one. So it's the old style ripping out of the package with head in the corner packaging. I always find it weird. Side note, when classic Who DVDs are done like this, or Moffat DVDs are done like this, I find that really strange. And a weird little oddity. But anyway, for some reason I hadn't read the DVD cover, so I just assumed that it was just Rose on here. So when I found out that End of the World was on here as well, I freaked out. Like, whoa, 2 episodes. Awesome, we get to go to space as well. So, but I watched this box set religiously as a kid. And I really liked I really enjoyed the Ninth Doctor a lot. You know, when I realised that there was only one series of him, I do remember being quite gutted. Because I really enjoyed the Ninth Doctor. As I've said before, he's one of the more sarcastic incarnations, which me, being very sarcastic, I kind of like. But yeah, I watched this religiously, so I very quickly fell in love with the Ninth Doctor. And I always thought it was a shame that we didn't have as much content with him as the others. So to have these audios is a really great thing. In regards to Big Finish, I haven't listened to many, I'm gonna be honest. I've listened to a few, but not many. I've listened to, one of my personal favourite Big Finish audios is Davros. Basically that one's where he like kind of takes over a company. And it's a really interesting insight into the character of Davros. If you haven't listened to that one, I would highly recommend it. It's really good. I've also listened to Daughter of the Gods, which is basically, imagine if the 50th, but it was like 5 years into Doctor Who's run, so it has William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton's Doctor, the first and second Doctor, meeting up. Obviously, they're not played by William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton because they were dead by this point. They're played by Peter Purvis, who plays Stephen, and Fraser Hines plays 2. And I think it's a really good, a story about obviously like those two characters meeting and just how much change happened. Between the first Doctor and the second Doctor. Am I not supposed to post rumours? I don't know. Did someone retract a message? I'm not sure. You can post whatever you want on here, as far as I'm aware. Like, there's no mods in chat, I don't think. Maybe I should make someone a mod. I don't know who to make a mod. See who's in here. But I vividly remember getting the Doctor Who Dreamland DVD. Not sure if it holds up today. No, I've got an interesting story about Dreamland as well. So with Dreamland, I remember being on CBBC and seeing the Doctor Who title sequence come on. I'm like, wow, a Doctor Who episode. And then I realised it was Dreamland, something I'd seen before. Yeah, that wasn't best, please. So yeah, what else have I've listened to? I've listened to Daughter of the Gods as well. Out of Time as well, the Tom Baker, David Tennant crossover audio. I've basically listened to all the crossover ones, I'll be honest, because I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to Big Finish, so I've sort of listened to the ones that sound most interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if these Ninth Doctor audios are, for many people, their first real exposure to Big Finish. And I think that's a great thing, and I think it could get more people into it, which is pretty good. At Dreamland, it's a product of its time. It's like nothing egregiously bad or anything, but I wouldn't call it anything other than like mediocre, really. Also, Sarah Jane was airing at the time, and I watched through 7 as it came out. I think I've said this before. Sarah Jane, in a lot of ways, kind of acted as my substitute to Doctor Who when I was growing up, because in my family, at least, it was very much a family evening, and I was the only one who liked Doctor Who in my family. Well, my brother did, but he quickly moved on. So, like, it was very much me with Doctor Who against all the talent shows that were there at the same time. And I think that's where I got my deep loathing of talent shows from, is from having to watch them instead of Doctor Who, because that's what I would much rather be watching. But yeah, so that's a bit of an insight into my childhood. But what other Big Finish audios have I listened to? There is a couple more, and I always forget which ones. Out of Time, Daughter of the Gods, Davros. I probably should have a look, but I just don't know, because, yeah, I'm not sure. Matt, I will say, if Matt Smith ever does Big Finish, I will be right there. Like, that'll be a day one purchase for me, like straight away. Matt Smith is my Doctor. He's the one I grew up with. So if they get him to do Big Finish, I'm all over that. With Peter Capaldi, I probably still would as well, although, you know, I wouldn't be as excited as I would be. Because, like, obviously, I was really excited for Eccleston, but, like, the only other thing that could match my excitement for Eccleston would be if they got Matt Smith. Because I do think, as well, in recent years, Matt Smith's Doctor's gotten a bit of a bad rap, and I do feel like that's somewhat unfair. So I'd really like Big Finish to come in, give him a buttload of good stories, and really show off how good Matt Smith's Doctor is. Thary's Try 45, the last story, The Word Lord, is really good, and I think you could get it individually for free. Okay, I'll give that a whack. I'd like to get more into Big Finish. Honestly, with Big Finish, for me, it's more just like a patience thing, and it's an attention span thing, really. I struggle to keep attention for Big Finishes. Like, obviously, I was thinking, do I listen to all 3 of the Ninth Doctor audios before doing the stream, or, you know, just the first one, or whatever, and I thought, well, if I listen to the first one, it'll not only result in a more condensed stream where I just talk about that one for a bit, but also I find as well, it's less time to have to pay attention. Doctor Who's my new favourite show. That's great. It's, you know what, like, I think people, like, the fan base recently, like, let's not deny it, it's been a bit of a naff place to be recently due to recent events, but I always love to see that new people are getting involved. It's a great thing, and I think that's something that should actively be encouraged. Like, I don't get the idea that you'd want to dissuade people. It doesn't make any sense. Anyone see the movie Samaritan with David Tennant? I have not seen it. He was great. For those who don't know, he played a wealthy serial killer, as the article put it. Interesting, I might give that one a look. I saw a documentary once with Matt Smith talking about how the Doctor likes to drink. Yeah, I really like Matt Smith's, and to be fair, I like Christopher Eccleston's interpretation of what the Doctor is. I remember in one interview, Christopher Eccleston said he has 2 hearts, so does that mean he cares twice as much? Little things like that are really nice, I feel. Has anyone seen the latest episode of This Time with Alan Partridge? I have not, I'm afraid. To be honest, a lot of people recommend me shows and that to watch, but I just don't find the time. I get very busy with video stuff. I've been cranking out a lot of videos as of late. And yeah, I feel as though, yeah, no, it's one of those that I've just, Invincible, for example, is one that I've been meaning to watch for a very, very long time, and I haven't got around to it. And I only watched the first episode of Superman and Lois, which I was really enjoying. So yeah, I'm not clicking the end stream button pacifist. You can't get to me that easy. Big Finish is expensive. Yes, that is true. That is the one downfall. Because I've said this before. I said this on Twitter, and I do want to address it here. As much as I enjoyed the first part of the Ninth Doctor audio, as much as I've enjoyed, what's they call it? I keep forgetting the name. Sphere of Freedom. As much as I enjoyed Sphere of Freedom, I do feel as though, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree with me on this, I do feel as though Big Finish are carrying a bit too much of the Doctor Who brand as of late, and people have said to me, well, what do you realistically want them to do, you know? It's, you know, obviously they've not released anything yet, so obviously Big Finish is picking up the slack, and I appreciate Big Finish, but I do just wonder, if Big Finish wasn't around, would we get, like, anything at all? You know, because I think what makes me think about this more is you look at other shows, you look at something, for example, like, I don't know, Stranger Things, right? A show that releases pretty infrequently, but it had a trailer, like, 6 months before it was planning to air and stuff like that, whereas with Doctor Who, it's like they wait 2 weeks before it airs to give us anything. And I know that Chibnall likes his secrets and his more secretive approach, but I just feel like, you know, surely Series 12 would have been the perfect way to demonstrate this more secretive approach. And I'm not saying you have to reveal everything, because I do think that was the thing that Moffat did that I think was an issue. was that he revealed too much, and I think that did result somewhat in the surprises being ruined. Obviously, the biggest example to that would probably be John Sim in The Doctor Falls. I think that would probably be the biggest thing. But yeah, I do feel like there needs to be a happy medium where we're getting consistent content throughout the year, rather than just one big thing 2 weeks before the thing airs, and then boom, the ratings fall as a result. Because whether we like to admit it or not, Doctor Who Series 12 did have lower ratings than its predecessor. And I do believe that part of the reason for that was the lackluster marketing. I do think that was a part of the issue. I have the Big Finish app downloaded, lots of free audios, and Warlord with Sylvester McCoy was one of them. Is that the one that someone else was suggesting? Yeah. Also, has anyone seen the 2009 Dirk Gently series with Stephen Mangan? I haven't. You know what? I get into a really bad habit as well with TV, where I keep meaning to watch all these things, and then I just end up watching the same old things that like comfort things in my free time. Stuff that I've watched countless times, but you could just sort of shut your brain off type of deal. And certain Doctor Who episodes do have that effect. Also, I was going to say, on the topic of Doctor Who episodes, there was another bit of news that I wanted to cover and didn't, so I'm going to get to that real quick. Because a couple episodes had recent anniversaries, and I thought we could just have a quick discussion about those. Not the National Numeracy Day one, don't worry. So, yeah, 8 years ago, it was, when it says it was revealed today, I don't know whether that means Name of the Doctor or Day of the Doctor, because all the images are for Day of the Doctor. So I think it's, no, I think it means Name of the Doctor, because it can't be Day of the Doctor, because that was the 23rd. So, yeah, first off, anniversary of the War Doctor. I do feel like, obviously, as great a performer as John Hurt was, it would have been impossible to craft a very worthwhile incarnation whilst also having to compete with two other extremely popular Doctors for screen time. He does it well, don't get me wrong, but personally I do think the Ruth Doctor showed more personality in her 20 minutes than the War Doctor did, and I do think part of that is down to the fact that he has to share screen time with two other Doctors in a big special that has a lot on his shoulders. So, yeah, now this was the one I was talking about. So, Amy's Choice, which I've said is basically my favourite episode of the revival, turned... How old was it? How old did they say it was? I don't think they said. I think 11 years old, maybe? Yeah, it would be 11 years old. It turned 11 years old on the 15th. And I love that, and I also feel ancient, because that's another one of the DVDs that I watched religiously. It was the Rose and the End of the World DVD, and it was the Amy's Choice Hungry Earth Cold Blood DVD. Wait, let me see if I can get it. Amy's Choice Hungry Earth DVD. Yeah, it was this one. I think. Yeah, because it wasn't in the RTD style, it was in the more recent Moffat style. So it was Amy's Choice and the Silurian two-parter. And I stand by, I think that the Silurian two-parter is one of Chibnall's strongest scripts. Is it perfect? No. Is it terrible? Definitely not. But yeah, Amy's Choice is like my favourite episode of the revival. I really like the concept. I really like the performances. I think everyone's on form. I think the Dream Lord's fantastic. And I really wish we'd have seen more of him. I think Toby Jones does an excellent job. Yeah, Amy's Choice is one of my favourites. So there's that. Where was it? Trying to find where I was now. No. It's not any of these, so I'll just click a random one, I suppose. Where was I though? Doctor Who. Was there any others? I think Doctor's Wife, another one of my favourites, turned... How old was it? 10? yeah, 10 years since the Doctor's wife. So that was cool. That was on the 14th. I will say, I don't understand what the Ghost Monument has to do with it. I do feel like that with certain, like with other episode anniversaries, do you really need to shove the new stuff in? You know, I'm not saying that they shouldn't put the new stuff in stuff, but I feel like when you're celebrating the anniversary episodes, is it really necessary to put another episode in? Like, you get what I mean? I feel like there is a time and a place to put new stuff in, and I feel like when you're celebrating a 10-year anniversary episode, now is not really the time. Apparently there's also a K9 annual, so that's interesting. And another 10th Doctor, 13th Doctor comic, which, yeah, kind of exemplifies one of the problems that I've spoken about before, about 13 not really, like, the 10th Doctor very much overshadowing a lot of the marketing efforts recently, which is another issue I have, because, you know, even though I'm not the biggest fan of 13, it should really be her era. She should be the focus of all of the side projects. I'm not saying you can't have other Doctors in things, you know, Big Finish has been doing audios with all sorts of Doctors, but I do feel like there's an overexposure of Tennant recently, and I do feel like it's to the detriment of, you know, Jodie, because I do feel sorry for Jodie for a certain extent, because it does sort of feel like she's not even the Doctor in her own period of the show. And I do think that's unfair on her, whatever I think of it. The TARDIS in duplicate, and that means another me is caught up in this paradox, which would explain quite a lot of things, like why you have no memory of me. So yeah, you can see like them finishing each other's sentences there. So yeah, that's another interesting thing. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? I think that was basically all of the things. There's obviously another cover reveal of one of the Eccleston stories. I will say, the covers for Big Finish, like, they started off rocky, but they've consistently been beautiful for, like, a long time, and this one is stunning. Like, I would have that as a poster. I don't even know the context of the story, but I would have that as a poster. So yeah, that's basically all of the news stuff that I wanted to talk about. Let's see what you guys... Hi from Germany. Hello! Or Guten Tag, is that right? I actually failed German, so I wasn't very good. I'll give you a bit of context to my German, actually. When I moved to my second high school, I started in year 9. And in my previous high school, we learnt Spanish. That's what we learnt. So they thought it'd be a great idea to put this person who's never spoken a lick of German in German lessons. So they did, and I had no idea what was going on. And for the next year, I sort of went, when everyone was going, "Do you understand?" And they say, "Yeah." I'm like, "No," but I tried my best. The only thing I can remember from German is this phrase that's "Besuche meine Opa," and it means I'm going to visit my grandparents if I'm right. And the only reason I remember that is because on the screen when we were learning that, there was basically a picture of an old woman who looked a bit funny, and I laughed too much. That's the only reason I remember. Did get him back for it by spending a whole month watching Paddington 2 over and over again. Wait, what was this in reference to? My brothers forced me to watch Amy's Choice, The Girl Who Waited, and The God Complex. Yet look, they're pretty good stories though. God Complex I haven't watched as much, but Girl Who Waited is fantastic as well. During the first lockdown on a bi-weekly basis, I now know these apps like the back of my hand. I mean, I'm the same, honestly, especially with Amy's Choice. What do you mean Lost Doctor? So as I've said in a couple of times, Lost Doctor is basically because, you know, Eccleston left early and, you know, never came back. So that's why he's a Lost Doctor. I thought it sounded cooler than Ninth Doctor, you know? I have the 10th Doctor Who Archives Volume 1 Titan comic. Midnight is probably one of the most underrated episodes ever. I don't know whether underrated is the word that I would use. I feel like people give it a fair amount of praise. But, you know, I do see what you mean. It is a fantastic episode, undeniably. I'm one of those very few people who prefers Turn Left to Midnight. I think it's more because of the concept. Midnight, don't get me wrong, is like a 10 out of 10. But Turn Left's also a 10 out of 10, but it has the added benefit of being a concept that I really like, which is like alternate timelines, and I love stuff like that. I love like alternate reality fiction. Also, right, Doctor should have been there instead of War. Eighth Doctor, I think you mean that. Yeah, I agree. Actually, I still don't see the point in creating a whole other incarnation just to serve that role when Eight could have easily done it. I know that Moffat, I think, said in an interview that he couldn't see Eight doing it, but I could. Like, especially with what Big Finish have gone on to do with him being in all these War Doctor in all these Time War audios, I think he could totally have done that, like without even question, really. Yeah, so I don't quite agree with that. I agree with you that it should have been 8. Although apparently, I don't know how true this was, but the BBC didn't want 8, which I find silly, because he was literally in the other studio doing Night of the Doctor. So I'll never understand that decision. Certainly. Why is it always random phrases from languages? I'm doing GCSE Spanish, and whenever anyone asks me to speak Spanish, I say "Donde está la biblioteca?" Yeah, because that's the thing. The thing I hate about how Britain teaches languages, and it may be different in other parts of the world, but they don't actually teach you the language. They teach you like what you need to pass an exam. So you don't really get a sense of how to speak it. You get a sense of what you need to pass an exam, which isn't really helpful post exams, really. In my opinion, at least. But yeah, that's something I do annoy. What's going on with 8? Oh no, we were just talking about how he should have been in the 50th, Simon. Nothing special. The most underrated story is The Beast Below. It's genuinely awesome. I agree. Beast Below doesn't get the praise it deserves. It's got a cool theme, about like do you save the humans or do you save this creature? And there's some nice allegories between the creature and the Doctor. I think it's a really well done story, and it does not get given the praise it deserves, especially given the what you call it. I think because it's the second episode, and that, in my opinion, it's slightly better than End of the World, maybe, or at least it's on par, at the very least. What I mean by Lost Doctor is the Ninth Doctor because he never came back. I feel like I'm going to have to explain that a few times. Maybe I'll change the title at a later point, just so people don't get confused. But, Series 10 is the most underrated season. See, I'm of the, Series 10 I enjoy. I think it's good. I do think, for me, in recent years, it's been a bit overly praised, and that's not me saying it's bad. But I do not think it's, the best of New Who, like some people say. I think it's good, but I don't think it's that good. In my country, they do the same. They teach you what you need to pass an exam, not how to speak it. Very few teachers teach you how to speak. I mostly learn thanks to internet and YouTube. Yeah, exactly. I do think that's a failure of languages, somewhat. I'd much rather, for me at least, I'd much rather actually learn the language than just learn parts of it that you need to pass an exam. But that's just me. I like Midnight more because I love 10, and I liked the idea of him being trapped in a small place with a monster here. Yeah, that's fair. No, don't get me wrong, Midnight's a great concept. I just love the concept of Turn Left just that little bit more. But they are pretty much, in terms of quality, they're like at the same level. And in fact, there is even a case to be made that Midnight's the better episode. Ooh, we've got some lag, which isn't good. Oh no, that's not good. All right, I think we're okay. I think there is an argument to be made that Midnight is the better episode of the two. However, for me personally, I just love the concept of Turn Left more. So yeah, apologies if there's any lag going on. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. See if I can get rid of that. YouTube's not receiving as much streaming as such viewers. Oh no, come on, stream health. What does that even mean? What do I do to fix that? That's not helpful. You're just saying to me it doesn't work. That's not... Okay, I think we're fine. But you might just have to see this gross yellow thing. Unless I just make myself big screen now because I've sort of done all the new stuff. I'm thinking of I'm not going to go too long anyway because... I've sort of discussed everything that I'd like to, but thank you all for tuning in so far. It's been a really good stream. I do want to do more streams. That is definitely something that is on the agenda. I've just been very busy at the moment covering all the news and stuff, but I thought I'd cover all the news in a stream today because, to be honest, I've been trying to record and I just wasn't feeling it. So I thought, I'll come on, I'll do a stream, I'll talk to you guys, and we'll have a bit of fun along the way. I also finally watched the Crimson Horror. See, I like the Crimson Horror. I've said this. I really like. Yeah. Oh yeah. There is anti-scoobly doobly. Yes, my word to get bigger or smaller. No, don't worry. We won't talk about the Bash Narada episode if you haven't seen it. Don't worry. As long as I'm told beforehand, then that's fine. I do feel though that certain people. Like, I had one comment once be like, don't spoil Earthshock, don't say, because I said in a video about what happens in Earthshock, and I'm like, dude, it was like 20 years ago, how am I meant to know that you haven't seen it, You're fine for us, just laggy for you. Okay, well, as long as it's just me, that's fine. For some reason now, there's a little black lip on the bottom of the screen. I don't know whether you guys can see that, but, there you are, I suppose. Yeah, it's been a good stream though. I mean, Series 10 has the best ending for the Doctor. IMO, if they would die there, it would have been a good ending, even if a little bit sad. See, for me, I think Time of the Doctor is the bit. I know that's because I'm a big Smith fanboy, but for me, like, Time of the Doctor is the big bombastic conclusion to 10 years of story, and I think if they were to end it, I'd have ended it there personally. The Beast Below is great. It's great. I have the David Tennant collection thanks to the wife, and she's not a fan. Oh, Beast Below. Okay, interesting. But yeah, the Tennant, I think the thing is, Tennant has some great stories there. I got my hamster and Ninth Doctor. That's class. If you could send me a picture of that, I'd love to see it. Just on a personal thing. Obviously, as well, I probably should actually. If you guys don't already, I've used Twitter for quite a few things in this stream, and I know I often do. As I said in the stream earlier, Doctor Who Production News, the Twitter account is a godsend for these. But if you don't already, and you'd like to, please consider following me on Twitter. I can put this link in the chat. There's occasionally some good takes in there, occasionally some bad ones. But it's all in good jest, and obviously if you agree with anything I say, then that's totally fine. There you go. There's the link to Twitter, so if you want to give me a follow, then you can do. Probably should have done that when the viewership was at its peak, because I think we had about 80 people in here at peak, so I probably should have done it then. But yeah, there we are. Also, random note earlier, but I was thinking Tharis did a stream with JX as a guest, and said that as a YouTuber would need to get their niche, and you hadn't found yours, cut to leaks. Yeah, leaks did sort of become my niche, didn't they? And they, like I've said this before, I don't know whether any of you know, but like the first leak video I did, that was literally meant to be the only one. I did it as a means to fill in the gaps in content because basically what happened was I'm meant to be moving into another office, which means I'm going to be able to do a lot more with the channel, a lot more big stuff. I'm going to be able to get lights to probably light the green screen, because right now it's literally just a green screen. It's literally what it is. It doesn't actually do much of what a green screen does without heavy editing. So I can't really use it right now, but that office would allow me to. But unfortunately, it hasn't even been started construction yet. So I was like, shit, how do I fill in the time it's going to take between now and when that's done? And I'm like, well, I'll try doing one of these Reddit videos about these new leaks. And then that video got 15,000 views, and I was like, maybe I'll do a few more of these, and here we are today. Yeah, I do have a Discord. Yeah, well, that's basically what the channel is. Like, even though they're called leaks, I do often cover news in them as well. Like, yeah, that's basically what the channel is at this point. To be fair, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to send an invite to the Discord. In fact, if one of the mods could do it, that might be helpful. Edit invite link. Expires after never. Maximum number of uses, no limit. Generate new link. Copy. Okay, I'll paste this into the chat, and hopefully you guys, if you haven't already, join the Discord as well. There we go. You, Tharis promo said Azinka, shut the... Nah, Azinka's a good friend, don't worry. There's no beef between me and Azinka. But yeah, So yeah, with the leaks, they were literally just meant to be me filling for time. That's essentially what the leaks were meant to be, and they kind of just carried on from there. I have more ambitious stuff coming up. As I said, there's something to do with somewhat a place that someone mentioned earlier that I can't give away at this point. But get excited for that. And there is also another video in the works that Azinka is actually helping me work on. So get excited for that as well. But I've got bigger things planned. It's just a case of time and resources, essentially. But yeah, if that's everyone's questions out the way and all that, I think I'm going to pop off for a while. But thank you all for tuning in. Leave a like if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching. Tharies does equal Christopher Eccleston, and I will see you later. Goodbye, everyone. Be sure to like the stream. Be good to each other as well, and goodbye.